Yo, I've been eyeballing you all day. Looking all fine and shit. I wanna lick you down. You know what? I'm doing pretty good.
Is that chili?
I just got back from a few days of R&R in Colorado, and
How was it, man?
it was amazing. My wife's family converged in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, and so it was just an awesome time. The in the backyard was uh, the San Juan River, and we got a chance to fish, and it was just
Yeah,
real.
so you caught some stuff.
Yeah. Caught some trout. They were pretty awesome. It was
In
great.
their backyard.
Dude, it was in the backyard of this house,
That's crazy.
and
That's awesome.
it was just such a nice thing. Definitely the nicest place I've ever stayed. Nicest little setup,
Where was this at?
in
Exactly?
in Pagosa Springs, Colorado.
Pagosas. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I hadn't either. And so, there's we had been social distancing for a while, and we quarantined ourselves, and all of my wife's family did the same before meeting up, just to avoid anybody unknowingly bringing any type of coronavirus related stuff to
Right.
that, since we were all going to be in close quarters or whatever. And also, my wife's mom is older, and has she's got a little bit of susceptible what is when you're more susceptible to
Compromised immune system.
exactly. And so
Buzzwords.
what's that?
I said buzzwords.
Exactly. Because of other things, and the thing about that is everybody did their best to avoid to social distance, and to navigate this time as best as possible. But there's no telling, because everybody's driving there, so
Right.
you stop at gas stations, you stop at X, Y, and Z, and you don't really know. It's just whatever. And since returning home, we're also kind of gonna chill out for a little while, because you could be asymptomatic and stuff like that. And so now here's the thing is, since we're in education, and our kids are scheduled to go back to school in a month or so, that's all of those things are going to be tested, and basically just trying to figure out what the best way to navigate this time, because what's the point of social distancing if everybody's going to be coming together in a month?
Right.
I think that there's so much that everybody will face here pretty soon, with that being affecting so many people. So there is no certainties. There are no, everybody's just navigating things the best they can.
Right.
And Texas is blowing up. So, when we left town, San Antonio was becoming a hot spot. And, people are texting, a couple friends are texting me on the way back, hey, stay where you're at, because it's getting bad here. And, the thing is it's just such a weird time. It's hard, to navigate these times for, and everybody's, I'm definitely thankful, that we've been able to avoid, exposure. We've made certain choices to social distance, and whatever, but you can't not live forever. You're going to have to navigate these times, engage in certain activities. And so a part of getting together with her family was to say, you know what, let's get together, let's enjoy this, time, whatever, because we can,
Right.
but still take whatever precautions that you can.
Right.
Before the trip, I went and paid you a visit, and because I wanted to get some treats for the family.
How do they like them?
I'll get to that in a minute.
All right.
So I ate them all. No, I didn't. No, I'll tell you in a second. But going and visiting you at your shop, I know that I saw in recent days that you've posted that that because of the rising concerns that you've kind of modified your business, and so
Again.
again, constant revision. Which is our theme for the day, right? The theme for today's show is that it always there's always, or what do we say it was? There's
It
always
never ends.
it never ends, right? There's always something. So talk about how you've been navigating things the last couple weeks since we last talked.
You want me to talk about
Anything,
food-wise or business-wise?
business-wise, food-wise, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Food-wise is easy. I've been doing shitty. I'll have good days and bad days, man. Like, my ultimate comfort is food.
Yeah.
And I have a good day. It's easy for me to, like, watch my carbs and be mindful. And then I have days where I'm just fucking tired of it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go have myself a pizza. So,
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's just, that's my drug, man. So it makes me feel good. So it's one of those things where that's how I comfort myself, is with some good eats. So I've been about the same. My weight stayed almost, I'm in the 250s, up or down 5 pounds, it's that's my struggle, I'll do good for a few days, and then, shit hits the fan, or, business is sucking. And so, that's the way I comfort myself,
Now,
I don't drink, I don't smoke, so I figure that's my vice, I guess.
So where did you get the pizza from?
So I had pizza a couple times the past couple weeks. So I had actually yesterday, but again, this is like you try and still be mindful, right?
Sure.
So I had a cauliflower crust pizza from Purple Garlic.
Okay.
The old Italian restaurant. They have a new location not too far from my house, but it's an old place off Austin Highway. Been there forever. And they opened a recently, this past year, location off 281. It was okay. It's cauliflower fucking pizza. So it's all it is. It's like, if you're an addict, it's that little thing that helps take the edge off. As long as you're trying to be mindful. If you really don't care, then you're not gonna enjoy it. You know what I mean? You're gonna eat it, and it's gonna be like, man, fucking garbage. Because there's no substitute for the real thing. Diet food does not taste as good as real food, but it's diet food for that reason, because you're trying to watch what you eat. So, so, I think I had a pizza we went to Dough about a week ago or so. And they actually just closed last week, like temporarily,
Yeah.
So, then other days I'm watching, I'm only eating my eggs and my protein, low carb salad, so not horrible, but the past couple of days have been rough. Today I had pho for dinner. So a lot of carbs in that.
But pho's not the worst you can do.
No, it's rice noodles. It's not as bad as like
no.
bread noodles. And I really, of all the things I try and be the most mindful of, is just eating bread.
Yeah.
That's a big killer for me. It really has. I really, as I don't know, the correct PC term, but as hippie or whatever as this sounds, like, I really do think I have developed a gluten allergy over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I eat bread, my skin changes. I get like crusty skin. I get patches of redness, and when I don't eat gluten, my skin's clear and I don't feel bloated. So, I've never gotten it confirmed by a doctor. It's just years of me noticing I haven't eaten any type of bread or gluten, pasta, anything like that in a month, and my skin looks great. and I don't feel bloated, and then I'll go on a binge of eating pizza and hamburger buns and hot dog buns, and then I feel like shit. So diet wise, it is what it is.
So then the theme for today, it never ends, right?
Right.
So then how does that play into your mindset when you're dealing with everything that you're dealing with and trying to be mindful? You're eating something that's better than you would have, right?
Right. Because I don't want to be obese.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit overweight. I'm fat, but I don't want to be obese. So that's where my mind's at. And, and like I know I've said it before, and I just said it. I really don't have too many vices. I really don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't nothing. I'm pretty clean living, except eating. Eating is which is just as bad. Not to say that that's any better. Overeating. So I like to snack. So and I think we talked about I always have my Coke Zeros. My fix.
That's awesome.
But I'm also a fan of Rebel ice cream, which is like an low carb ice cream, and I'll throw down half a pint. And I feel less guilty than I would have if I would have eaten just a normal Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry's pint. So as mindful as I can be, but right now, dude, it's like I'm so stressed out sometimes, man. I'm just, I'm not worried about my family. I'm not even worried, honestly, about getting sick. I'm worried about the past almost 8 years of grinding and getting my ass kicked and struggling to build my business. Dying. And we're doing the best we can to survive and to roll with the punches, like we just had. With the increase in positive cases and the mayor and Nelson Wolf are fighting with Governor Abbott, and fortunately our delivery service has been steady, and that's keeping us going. My in-store, once that first, was it last week when the news came out of we started getting these huge jump in numbers, as the cases went up, my sales went down at the same pace. Yeah. Which I get it. People are fucking scared. We're scared. My wife's pregnant and she has a autoimmune disease. I don't fucking want her going anywhere. Yeah. And I don't want my son going anywhere. Yeah. For their safety and my safety and anybody else, we don't want to be spreading shit around, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, but I'm scared for, my business. I'm not gonna quit. I'm not ready to quit, but it's just every fucking day, man. You gotta roll with the punches, and some businesses have it worse than others. And we have some good friends here. I'm gonna throw them a little shout out here. My friends at the Point Park. Yeah. Those guys. You've seen them before. The food truck park. Yep. They're a bar, and they were shut down last Friday, and that's fucking tough, man. It's just hard, man. We met up with them. Here's even crazier. I don't want to mention her name. If you know her, great. If you know her, you know this story. Her brother, her youngest brother, died tragically in a fucking accident. Her daughter just had a baby. She's a first-time grandmother. Her fucking business is struggling and just got shut down. It's shit after shit after shit. And I know how much we met up together, her and her husband and me and Mary, we're pretty close. And, they're hurting, man. My heart hurts for them. And I know how I'm struggling, but we have a delivery business that's implemented, that's in place, that's nationwide, that we're able to survive and float. And they don't have that system in place like we do. And, and then losing your brother, being a grandmother, a first-time grandmother, and not even be able to see your grandchild yet. And then the news of they told me they went and bought all their beer inventory for the weekend because that's when you make your money. Sure. And that Friday morning, they fucking were told to close by 12, and they already had spent thousands of dollars on fucking inventory. So right or wrong, I don't give a shit. You know, it's hard not to feel bad for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel bad for people that are sick. I feel
Yeah.
bad for people that are dying. I feel bad for people whose businesses are dying.
Yeah.
I feel bad for people that are having to make these fucking choices of, you know, do I let my livelihood? And I think people want to quickly say, oh, you care about material over people's lives. Like, you don't understand. Somebody who's built a business from nothing, that is their life.
Yeah.
I would rather die than fucking let my business fail. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's because my business.
That's you.
It's my child. It's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, it's just, it's the right fucking thing to do right now. You know, it's the right thing to do. But I just don't like fucking calling people out,
Yeah.
being assholes, and telling people, I told you, you know, when you work at fucking USA from home for the past 10 years, you can't be pointing the finger at somebody and being like, I told you, because you're safe for now.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
like, you know, so I don't know, man. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but, you know.
No, I understand where you're coming from, man. And
Dude, we just need to be fucking kind to each other, man. That's how we solve all our problems in the world. It just treat people how you want to be fucking treated. The golden rule. That's how we get through this. And unfortunately, bro, I don't think half the people in this fucking country treat each other that way. It's sad.
It is certainly very difficult to see what people are going through right now, what people are going through. You look at places like the San Antonio Food Bank has 10,000 people in line. You read stories about people showing up at to get tested for coronavirus starting at 4 a.m.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's just this. It never stops.
Yeah.
And it never stops for anybody, because the thing is, you know, I'm a state employee. My wife's a state employee. We've been blessed to, you know, been able to maintain our employment during this time. And, you know, I would say that, you know, we're definitely blessed in the regards that we've been able to do some things and maintain our distance the way that some people cannot, the way that other people cannot. And so I understand what you're saying. It's definitely not lost on me. And there is certainly something to be said about the collective response needing to evolve and needing to be better. And you're like you're saying, the passing judgment, you know, it's very difficult this time for absolutely everybody. And so everybody is right to feel like right now is shitty. You know, it's tough. And so, you know, bringing things back to, you know, what this podcast or what we get together was originally intended to do was, you know, how do you navigate whatever shit storm you're in? How are we navigating it, right?
Right.
And so to hear you say that despite these things, I'm eating a cauliflower pizza instead of this because I don't want to be obese, and because, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm such a brat, bro. I'm such a brat.
Dude,
right?
it has nothing to do with that, because, you know, you shouldn't apologize for how you're medicating with your Coke Zero and your cauliflower pizza, because you know what? Everybody's medicating however they need to survive.
Right.
And you know, it's so crazy that anybody would give anybody shit right now about anything. You know, Trump's an easy target. You know, he's an easy target, but hating him isn't going to solve all the rest of the problems. We're still going to have to deal with these things. There's still other issues. There's still systemic racism. There's still obesity. There's still like all these things you got to navigate, right? So then you just do the best you can. And you know, before all this stuff happened with Corona, I think that it was helpful to embrace that mindset, because, you know, everybody's been affected by this.
Right.
in some form or fashion.
Right.
And so you navigate it the best you can, and you don't apologize, for it. And hopefully you're not, critical of anybody else, doing it. But the society in which we live, clearly, there's people that are spreading this disease. There are people who are refusing to abide by the rules. Clearly, there are people who are subscribing to things that are not helpful to the general collective answer to these societal global issues. And so how do you navigate that, right? How do you do it despite the fact that your wife is pregnant, that you're trying to save your business, that your friends, are going through tough times because they lost a loved one? You just do it the best you can, right? And I know that embracing that notion that it never stops is very similar to embracing the concept that you're never done until you're dead.
Right.
And so there's never going to be a point where, you're finished, right? In
Right.
health.
We've talked about this where we can either lay down
Yeah.
and, even with your dramatic weight loss, you could have quit how many times? How much easier would it have been to be like, you know what, fuck it. I don't care. I'm going to just go back to what I was doing. But I think you just have to have that little thing inside of you that, you know what, that little switch got turned on, and yeah, I'm going to have bad days and I'm going to have good days, but I'm going to keep moving forward and keep, my head up as much as I can and deal with it,
Yeah.
And that's one thing I always teach my kids, like, my mom, grandmothers, man, they're fucking lions with their grandchildren, But, I always tell my mom, like, my son, he's got to learn how to deal with shit.
Yeah.
That's life, and if somebody at school is giving him a hard time, I tell him, then you fucking deal with it. You either let him push you around or you fucking stand up for yourself. And that's life, man. You can't just sit around and fucking wait. You got to be like, I'm going in, or, ride or die, like, because the only thing that's guaranteed in life is what? Only thing guaranteed in life is
death. Death and taxes.
Right.
Death and
Fuck taxes.
yeah.
Fuck death.
Well, death and taxes is the great equalizer, right? But you're absolutely right, dude. And I want to say that a part of not stopping, a part of not giving in and whatever is realizing that concept, right? And maybe not taming it, but at least acknowledging it, because
Right.
there are failures along the way, and there are things, if things aren't over till it's over, that's fine.
Right.
But there's gonna be, you learn from mistakes, you learn from when life hits you in the face, like you're saying. And so a part of it is failing, a part of it is going through, those experiences, right? Like you're saying with your son. I think that I did an interview yesterday with a buddy of mine who I met, and so I interviewed him, and it's going to be a part of this podcast episode. And so we're going to take a quick break so that we can air that interview, so we can share that interview. The interview is with a friend of mine that I met at a conference earlier this year by the name of Ashanti Branch. He's been a TED Talk speaker, and I've been working with him online and supporting him in his health efforts, his pursuits, and he's been very successful. And his whole organization is about moving forward. It's called the Ever Forward Club, the Ever Forward Movement. And so we're going to take a quick break, and so those 83 of you that are subscribing to our YouTube channel here at Fat Talk can listen to what the man has to say. He's an awesome guy. So we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back after this interview. All right, Fat Talkers. I'm one of your hosts, Chuck Hernandez, and I'm here with a special friend that whose name is Ashanti Branch, and I from time to time I will interview somebody that is worthy of an interview, someone who has something to share about their own experiences, and from time to time I'll talk about I'll mention my job, but it's not a really whole lot of crossover with the health pursuits and my work. Back in January of 2020, I met Ashanti at a conference for my through my work, and it was a conference for the Texas Association of Gifted and Talented. And so it's an organization that brought him on to be one of their keynote speakers at their statewide conference here in San Antonio. And so it was kind of a coincidental thing. I was hanging around after his speech and his presentation, and his stuff was not too far from where I was sitting. Started talking to him, and it was interesting because at the time I didn't know, I had a lot of things happening back at work, and I was kind of on the fence about even going. And so when I went, it was a worthwhile event. But when I heard Ashanti speak, and when I heard what his efforts were behind, I knew that I was in exactly the place I needed to be at the time. And so I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But first, I want to introduce you, or have you introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about who you are, where you live, what you do, what are your efforts, why are we speaking to you today? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, and I'm so glad to be here with you. And what a great thank you for the intro. My name is Ashanti Branch. I'm from Oakland, California. I am a son of a single mother. My father died before I was born, and so my life started off on a journey of trying to figure it out by myself a lot. I think that my mom did the best she could raising a little boy, but she doesn't know how to be a boy. She doesn't know how to be a man. So she did the best she could with the tools she had, but there were some things that she couldn't do. And as I grew up, I just was often feeling like I wasn't up to the responsibilities that men were supposed to be doing. Like, I was told at 7 years old, you're the man of the house. And what do I know about being a man at 7? I just wanted to go out and get on my big wheel and play. But those responsibilities were given to me early. I helped to take care of my siblings growing up. I was raising kids as a kid, and I didn't even have kids, But I'm today, the work I get to do is based on this work around masks, and it started because I followed my heart. I was chasing money as a career, after finally escaping the chaos and madness of Oakland. I went out to college to be an engineer, wanted to be rich, and slowly, or actually quickly, I realized that, this money is fun. Having money is fun, but it wasn't bringing me the happiness that I thought I was working for. I was working for happiness ever after, and I was only getting happiness during happy hour. And I was going to a lot of happy hours. And I think I was probably going to too many happy hours on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning. I was hitting all the happy hours, but I don't think that as a context overall, I would say I was happy. But the money could hide a lot of unhappiness. And so when I got called to become a teacher, it was because my something in me, as I was tutoring at this program, it said, you should be a teacher. And I'm like, teachers don't make no money. You got to take whatever that inner voice that was calling me. I was trying to tell it to go away because I don't want it. I don't want this message. I don't want this job. I don't want this responsibility. I want to be rich because I already grew up poor. I know what poor feels like, and I don't like it. But teaching kept calling. No matter how many jobs I changed and made more money, that calling on my heart to say, this is not what this is not what you should be doing. And luckily, I didn't have a house. I didn't have any family, so I could make the move without hurting anybody else and putting anybody else in jeopardy. And so, long story short, I began to do work at the school. I was a first-year teacher failing. I started this club called the Ever Forward Club for young men to give them a space to like recognize that they're way more than what they're letting people see. They were failing my math class. I was a math teacher, and that's how the Ever Forward Club started. And that work took us to be a part of a documentary called "The Mask You Live In," which we created a activity called "Taking Off the Mask," which we'll probably talk about, but an opportunity for people to get real. And that opportunity has been taking me all over the world. As an engineer, I maybe went to 2 or 3 places outside of the United States. But as an educator, following my heart, I've traveled to several countries, and we are now doing work in 16 countries around the world, and many states in the United States. And I don't think as an engineer that was what I was heading towards, but I'm so glad I followed my heart. And so today I get to be on this conversation after we met, and the work I do in education and schools all over the world has been about me just sharing my story of following your heart, even when sometimes it's hard to do.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by taking off the mask? Well, 2 things. Where does Ever Forward come from? Right?
Yeah.
So somebody is working in your building there. So what is he doing?
He's moving a canoe.
Canoe. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in an old pier building,
Okay.
and they built a canoe shop over there.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's what's happening. So he's actually closing up shop. He's closing the doors, so there may be a little bit more noise because it looks like.
Do you canoe?
I have canoed. That's past tense. I have canoed, and I currently, as you can probably tell, I'm not necessarily in the canoeing.
In the right garments.
But I can't canoe.
But would you call yourself a canoeer?
I was in a newspaper in Florida when I worked at Walt Disney because I was on a championship team, and I missed the championship meet. I don't know what happened.
Canoeing?
It was at Disney. I used to work for Walt Disney Imagineering. So
you're saying that you missed the championship for canoeing?
No, I missed the championship canoeing race. It was a canoeing race for a team, right? I missed
workers.
Workers who worked at Disney.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Competing against other teams around the park, and I was so mad. I was so sad.
Okay.
They were upset with me. But I don't even know what happened.
I don't think that you probably guessed you'd be talking about canoeing, your canoeing experience. But let's go back. I want to know where does the Ever Forward Club name come from?
Yeah.
And why masks? What is the mask challenge? What is it that compelled you to address this, and why in that form? So where did Ever Forward come from? Talk about the mask challenge and why is it that even came about?
Yeah, so when I graduated college in 1998, a lot of companies, it was after the 92 recession-ish, and then around 98, things were booming again. So a lot of companies were on college campuses recruiting, and they all had these core values and go get them. We won't accept the status quo. We will go forward. We will push harder. We will be bigger. And I just started learning all these words. So when I went to become an engineer, I just had these words in my head. So every interview I had, I was using all the core values I was seeing at all these companies. And I was like, these are my values. These are my values. I mean, they worked. I mean, it was I wasn't lying, but it was I just started using these core values. And I think one that I really stood by was keep moving forward. Don't get stuck. Don't stop. And I think that's how I made it to college. There was a lot of people from my high school and from my city who didn't go off to college, who didn't go off to pursue bigger things. And I just thought that one was really big. So when I was as an engineer, I was like, maybe I'll start a program as an engineer. And it just really, I didn't know that I didn't know that I was going to leave engineering to do this. I thought I would do it while I was engineering. But, when you're an engineer, you're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. There's not a whole lot of extra time. And so in the middle of the day to go visit some schools, I was doing as many career talks as I could because the fire was already burning in me. And when I became a teacher, I was like, well, maybe after I teach for 5 years, I'm gonna start this club called Ever Forward, like go forward, right? And it couldn't even wait till the first couple of months of school. Like it was like I was noticing smart young men in my class. I didn't know who the club was before. I just had the name in my mind. But when I started teaching, it was mostly young men who I was seeing were so smart. They were smarter than I was their age, but they weren't showing it. Like I thought I was smart, but I was willing to show it. I was hungry to be like, I got this. Call on me, right? By the time I left middle school, I wasn't afraid to be the smart one, and I was always battling with 2 or 3, 4 people for like the top GPA, right? And then most of my friends, we didn't talk about GPAs. I would hide my grades, So I think Ever Forward was in me all along, like as a context, as like, I want to go forward. I don't want to get stuck here. I knew that my city, Oakland, as much as I love Oakland, it was not a place that I was saying, I'm gonna be here the rest of my life. I was like, I can't wait to get out of here. It was sad. It was painful. I didn't like seeing people on drugs. I didn't like seeing people strung out. I didn't like seeing people in the middle of the street mowed down. I didn't like seeing that. I was against that, And so I was like, I'm out of here as soon as I can. And now I still live in Oakland, and that's by choice. But I get to be a part of the transformation that I want to bring. And so that's how Ever Forward, the name came around. Lots of like life experiences, but also that core value company jargon that was going around. And the second question I think you asked was
why the mask? So where did
the
that
mask?
Yes, and it's funny you mentioned that you used to hide your grades. That was a mask in itself.
Oh, you better believe it.
Yeah, masking your good your scholarship from your friends. Because but I have an idea why you did, but tell me why.
Because no, it's clear. Smart's not cool in my community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, smart. You're a nerd. You're like a geek.
Schoolboy.
You want to be you're like an Oreo, right? You're black on the outside, white on the inside. You think you're smarter than us? You think you're better than us? And it's all that stuff that if you're not solid in your own self, you will fall into a trap that makes you act dumb so you don't look smart, which actually is not what you really want. And I think deep down, the people who were talking that stuff to you in high school, by the time you become an adult and who has a life who's messed up, those people are nowhere to be found. Yeah. They're not giving you loans to help you live your life. They're just like, what happened to you? And you're like, I was trying to follow you, right? So I was clear that my job was to go forward, And so the vision of like myself of like, even though I knew my friends, look, they knew I was on my way to college. They knew I wanted to have better things in my life. I had a big vision and dream. They knew it. But I still had some fear around trying to like showing them up or something, right? Making like for me, math was easy, right? My mom, we grew up, we didn't have a lot of money. We played a lot of games, board games, Monopoly, Uno, backgammon, all number games, right? So I got good at numbers, like just boom, boom, boom. So math was like, I love math. So math, I didn't have to work hard. So when my teachers would come and give tests back, like I was just hiding in the bottom of my backpack like I didn't get it back. Because a lot of my friends, they didn't, like I had my friends and I had the people I was competing with for grades. So my friends, they didn't always get high grades. And we studied a lot. I helped them study. I would help them with their homework. I mean, I've even gone as far as to let people copy my homework, right? I even had the notes thrown to me during tests with like, what's the answer for this? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna get caught because of this, right? And those are hard things to do. Those are to be like, I can't help you, right? I'm just like, that's hard. And I don't talk about that much. That's actually one of the things I don't really talk about much. Like the pressure to help your friend who wants an answer on a test when I know that if I get caught cheating, I'm going to get an F or a 0 or get in worse trouble. Like that's hard.
Sure.
I think the answer is easy. Don't cheat. That's the easy answer. Don't cheat. That's easy. But to put it into action, right? When the note is thrown to you on your desk and you open it and it's like, what's number 7? And you like,
moral dilemma.
Yeah, that's a dilemma. And anyway, I didn't plan. I don't even know where that came from, but that's part of the journey. It's been part of the journey ever since. Of like, and helping young men. I know that when they want to do good in school, and we're trying to help them to make good decisions. All good decisions aren't easy decisions.
Sure.
Some are easy, but then putting them into action is a different thing. The value behind the decision is easy. It's clear. You should not cheat.
But to do it within that culture, within that context, within that's
within your friends,
Totally.
like your friends just need some help. You just help them out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Those things are a little harder, and
So then let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Where did you get the courage to know what you want and go after it then? Knowing that you wanted to do well as you could in school. Where did you get that courage?
I would say probably deep down it came from my mom. I think probably in lots of ways it came from just this desire that I want more out of life. Like when I started writing my essay to college, my father died before I was born, so I never met him. I only knew my grandmother, which was my father's mother. Now, all the Branch family got disconnected from us. Like my grandmother, she really didn't let us know the Branch family. So for whatever reason, she blocked it. So I never met any Branches until literally like 6 years ago. I only knew a few cousins in Oakland, which was my father's brother, my cousins in Oakland. And I was like, man, what's going on? Like, why, I feel this drive for hunger, and I'd say, well, maybe it comes from my mom's side of the family. Maybe it's because my mom's side of the family, they're educators, and I felt like I just like, where do you get it from? I guess you get it from people who bring value to you, and my mom was, a hard worker, so I thought it just came through like this idea that values were nurtured. And one thing I remembered is that when I found out how my father died, it was in the 70s. He was smoking weed with some friends, and one of his friends, they thought they needed to add some extra stuff to the weed. So they put something in the weed. His heart couldn't handle it, and then he died. Instead of them taking him to the hospital, his heart started really pounding, and they took him instead of to the hospital. They took him to my grandmother's house. She was supposed to know what to do with him. He died at my grandmother's house before, either in the ambulance or sometime in the process of trying to get him to the hospital. And so I began to grow up with this idea that friends, you can't really even trust friends. It was pretty scary. Like I remember that night when she told me, I think I was 6th grade, doing some family tree project. You got to learn how do people die in your family so that you can see if, there's some traits you need to be thinking about. I remember the project, and I remember asking my mom, well, can you tell me what heart problem he had? Did he have cardiac, blah, blah, blah. I was asking those questions. She's like, well, do you really want to know what happened? I'm like, well, don't get creepy about it. Just tell me what kind of heart problem he had so I can fill this stupid homework out. I don't want to have time to be talking about deep stuff, She's like, well, I'll tell you if you're ready for it. I'm like, what's wrong with you, lady? Just tell me what happened to his heart. And she said, okay, sit down. I said, I'm not sitting down. Tell me the answer. And she was like, she's talking about the drug situation. And I literally was in shock. Like, I was like, first of all, he'd been lying to me all my life that my father had heart problems. When he basically got, basically overdosed, maybe you can say, but whatever you call it,
sure.
His heart couldn't handle the drugs that he was on, that people put in the marijuana that he was on, and he died. And so I began to like, man, your friends would do that to you? Like, I just didn't even understand that was a concept. And I think that's definitely affects my life in a lot of ways, right? And like trust. I have really good friends. I have a few really close friends. I know a lot of people, but close friends are harder because, and not that I'm always wondering, are they going to put something in my, I don't even smoke weed really, So the idea is that this story is going in a really interesting place, right? But ultimately I realized that I had this belief that my father not being here was because somebody didn't do right by him. Sure. I think that was a journey. It's been a journey ever since. And so I'm, today I get to be like in the work I do with young men, helping them unpack what do they feel about where they are today. Like, how is your life? Is it going the way you want it? If not, how do you feel about it? If you feel good about it, excellent. If you don't, what can we do about it? What can you do about it? It's not me doing anything. And so that's the work that we get to do to give young people space to be more whole and more alive.
So it sounds like your own self-realization impacted.
I think you're on mute right now.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, maybe it's my side? I can't hear you still.
It might be your side. Yeah, mine's working.
Yeah, my sound is all up.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
Hello. Yo, check. Test your.
Yeah, I still can't hear you.
Hang on, I'm gonna.
Okay. Should I hang up?
No.
Is it my sound?
I'm texting.
My audio. My audio's off?
Yeah. Now,
Okay, maybe.
no, now it's working, but I don't know why.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's something on my end. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe this. Okay. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. I've heard you this whole time.
Okay, no, I just couldn't hear you when you were talking. Okay. I got it now. There it is.
So
I think, yeah.
Okay, so going back a second ago, it sounds like your own self-realization played a role in what you're trying to assist young men in doing. Am I right?
Yeah. I think what I created in Ever Forward was what I actually needed when I was in high school. Like, I needed a place to go and talk about what I was going through. My home life wasn't so exciting. My mom married a guy. I don't think he was particularly nice to me and my siblings. He really loved the son that he had by my mom, but we got treated not so well. And I think I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy at all. And so I thought that going to college was going to help me be happy. And I realized that, college did a thing because I got to go and be free. I was not responsible to anyone else for a while. But I think what I created Ever Forward was what I really wish I had in high school, a place to be seen, be heard, be pushed to be my best self. And I worked hard in high school. But, when I got to college, there were people who were smarter than me. I was like, how you get to be smarter than me? Like, how did you get to be – what did your teachers teach you in high school? Because I know I did everything my teachers did, and you're way smarter than me. I was trying to figure out and I realized that, man, these other schools, their expectations of the students were way more than my high school. I mean, if you had given me more work, I could have done more work. I did everything they asked me. I had a really high GPA graduating. And so I think that I wanted to build a place where young men, regardless of what the school gave them, they knew that they could go more and harder and they could learn better and bigger. And that's what I wanted to create in Ever Forward. That's the journey I think I was trying to build, of trying to create a space for young people to be more of their best selves. And that's what we've been trying to do since 2004. Creating those spaces, giving them experiences. Like, the young people don't come to us on their way to college necessarily. Like, they're all capable, but they don't even want to be in high school. We're trying to help young people who are on their way to dropping out to say, you don't want to drop out. That's the least you want to do. You actually want even way more. You don't want to just have free time right now. You want to have free time to do your dream and your goals and put things into action. You have big goals in life, I'm sure. And when you help young people find that goal in their dreams, then you can help them come alive. But if they're in school and they're just like, this is boring, this don't mean nothing to me, then they're on their way out the door. And so my work is around, like, supporting them to be their best selves. And that's what we do. And I mean, even though when I got to high school, I was already on track I had some dreams, but I was kind of, I think if I think about it, I should think I haven't used this word pretty much ever. I would say I was pretty lonely. I think I felt really just unseen, right? Like, I'm the man of the house since 7. My mom marries this guy when I turned like 12 or 13. Then now I'm not the man of the house anymore, but I'm not even nurtured by a man in the house. Like, my title as a responsible part of these for my siblings. So I had to keep nurturing them because we weren't getting nurtured by a father figure. There was a man in the house who got the head chair at the table, who got the big piece of chicken, who got all the stuff that sit in the chair, the cat, the chair, his spot, right, his own rocking, like all that stuff happened. But I didn't get a father in the process. And so I think that I think my journey has been, man, Ashanti, what if you could just help other young men who whether they have a father or not. It's not really about replacing a father. It's about, do they have a space to be and come alive and be their best selves? And that's what we try and do in Ever Forward.
So it's a powerful movement, and I'm gonna go a little bit back in our relationship for a minute. So we met in January, and I want to come back to the health thing in just a minute because we're still on the topic of your movement.
Yeah.
And what you provide for young men. We began communicating from that meeting in January, and you were heading to South by Southwest in March, and I said, you know what, I may be up there, you know, maybe I can go and you know, check out whatever it is that you're going to be a part of up there, or maybe we could just grab a bite to eat. So fast forward to spring break, the beginning of what would become coronavirus pandemic. You're in Austin, Texas. I'm in Austin, Texas, and South by Southwest gets canceled, and we decide to meet up anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so we meet up at a little Japanese sushi all-you-can-eat place in downtown Austin, Texas, called Junai, which is amazing. I don't know if you'll endorse the restaurant the same as but
go Junai, absolutely.
But we were there, and you were with another producer or I guess organizer of your efforts, and two young men.
Yeah.
And I brought this up in our other discussions about our other pursuits, and because your plan had completely fallen apart. South by Southwest is canceled, your panels are canceled, but everything's booked, you're there, and so you try and make the best out of the situation, and so you have your young men producing content, right? Whether it be, whatever it's going to be. But it's funny because you talk about being a father figure, you talk about giving somebody a platform. When I saw the way that you were speaking with these young men, it was what you're talking about. You were giving them the opportunity to have some space, to create, and to navigate, but you were facilitating that in a way that you're saying you never really had yourself. And I see the beauty in that. And it's a wonderful thing that your organization does. It's a powerful story, because basically what you're doing is you're forcing these young men to take stock in where they're at, where they want to be, what they're doing, have some type of self-realization, right? You're giving them a platform, and it's a beautiful thing. You know, the way that you spoke with these young men, which basically was very relentless, very, very father-like, you know, high expectations. And when I saw that, it was more real to me than you speaking at the conference, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is, you know, I don't know if these kids have parents in their lives or not, but the way that you set the bar, you know, was what most kids need. They need to be pushed. They need to be, you know, pushed into taking this self-actualization, right? And so this is your movement. This is what you're all about. But let's go back. When we start talking at that conference in January, you know, we're talking about one thing or the other, and then health comes up, right? We start talking about health a little bit, and I talk about where I've been and where I'm going and what my plans are, and how what you were talking about at that conference spoke to me, because I was already in the process of trying to figure out, how do I get the kids that I work with into nature? How is it that how do I get them to connect? And like I said earlier, I was like, man, I don't really want to be here, whatever. And then when I saw what you do and why you do it and who you work with, I said, this guy right here, this is what I needed to see today. And so you take young men to experience things in nature, and you connect them in nature, and people will put in the description of in this and anything that we post about this your interview today, where they can see these efforts, because they're wonderful.
Yeah.
But going back to that, we were talking about health, and so I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
And actually two things, because one, I want you to explain what the mask activity is. But
Yeah.
the second thing I want you to explain, and you can share as much as you want. You shared that you were in your own struggles with pursuing health, and so since January we've texted, we've talked about how to navigate this space, because we're in a similar mindset of a realization that wherever I'm at now is not where I want to be,
Right.
but that's the first step. So one, talk about the actual mask activity,
Yeah.
and what that is. And then I want you to talk about how does the mask activity and your efforts to allow these kids a self-realization, or even your own self-realization, relate to health. So what's the mask activity, and how does health relate to what you're doing, whether it be in your own efforts, or with your organization's efforts, or with your own personal efforts?
Yeah, beautiful question, and then they really deeply connect. So, so the mask activity, and it's now called the Million Mask Movement. # Million Mask Movement. So if you're looking at, you want to check it out, go in any platform, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, type in # Million Mask Movement, and what you're going to see is what we've asked people to do in this new phase is take a picture of themselves wearing a mask. My mask is right here. This is a mask I've been wearing. Take a picture of yourself wearing a mask. Then take a picture of yourself without the mask. Then we want you to, in the comments, we want you to write # Million Mask Movement, and then # front of mask. And then write 3 qualities. The front of the mask is, what are the things that you gladly let the world see about you? What are 3 qualities that when you leave out of your house in the morning, and whether you're wearing the mask or not, 3 qualities you gladly let people see? That's # front of mask. Then # back of mask. That's things that people don't normally see. Things we normally don't let people see. Like right now, like I'm in this space. I'm on this interview. I'm doing my best to like be present and be just as vulnerable as I can. But all the time, we're all having these different layers of masks. And as all I'm talking about family stuff and personal stuff, I still feel that sometimes the need to like, can I tell about that? Can I tell about that? Can I handle that? Can I handle that? Because that's going to create some, like I've been through a lot of things in my life, right? But I think we always have it. But do you have a safe place to take them off? And, luckily for me and the work we do with young men, we give them that. We provide that safe space, and they just have to take advantage of it. And so that's the mask challenge. We just upgraded when we just rebranded it from the 100,000 mask challenge to now the Million Mask Movement. So we hope that your users, your followers, there's a card right there. So on the card, when we did the card version, you would have the left side, which is the front of the mask, and the right side, which is the back of the mask. And that tool, you can actually go to our website. If you don't feel comfortable making your own mask online and sharing it with the world, you can make it anonymously. So you can go to 100kmasks.com. That's the number 100kmasks.com. And there you can draw the mask online digitally, and you can always make it and send it to us in the mail. But those are the ways that we have been building a momentum, a movement around helping people recognize that what is the mask that we wear? Do you know that there's more to you than anybody could ever see by looking at you? And even though we're all walking around, the world is walking around wearing these masks to protect ourselves, what happens when you take it off? What happens when you go home and you get to finally take the mask off of your face? Do you get to be yourself? Do you get to be who you really are? Or is there another layer of mask that no one can see because you got to pretend like work was amazing? You got to pretend like you had a great day. You have to pretend like you're really happy to be home right now, even though you're stressed out and you're worried about the future. Like, the question is, where do we have places to recognize that we're not alone? And that's our work. And so how that connects directly to me, I think it came about when we were being prepared to go into the documentary, The Mask You Live In. I was trying to do an activity with these young men that was going to let them talk about what they were going on in their life without talking about it. Because every week we did check-ins, no one talked about what they were really going through. Like, I knew about it because one-on-one in my office, they would talk about it because I was the dean. Like, my job is to ask questions and find out what's happening, not just give you a consequence, a detention, a suspension, or whatever, a restorative justice session, whatever that may be. But I need to find out what's the root of it, because giving you a consequence means nothing if we don't understand the roots of why you're in the trouble in the first place. And what I realized with a lot of young men who came to the circle was that in my office we could go deep, because I don't have time to waste with asking you fake questions. But when they got to a circle, they were all like, I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. Everything's great. Everything's fantastic. And it really wasn't. And for me personally, I knew what the mask was because I always had a mask. Always. In high school, I always had them. I never talked about the fact that at home I was dealing with sadness and drama. Like, yeah. I didn't tell anybody until I was an adult about the situation with my father that I talk about in my TED Talk or in the stages. About my mom. It's just some violence in the home. I definitely never talked about childhood abuse that I experienced. And so what I did is I learned how to mask it up. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm good.
I think that that I've got to add before we get to the health-related component is, you know, the conference that I saw you speak at. I you know, this is a conference of the leaders in this field, right? In gifted and talented from across the state, and what your group activity did in the middle of in your presentation was to demonstrate that 20 or 25 random people out of the hundreds of attendees that were there, or you know, maybe, you know, a couple thousand, I don't remember how many there were, but there was a lot, that randomly these 25 people that you know drew cards, their cards, which I have a copy here of, that every single one of them was carrying trauma or emotion or stress that they don't reveal, depression, right? And so what it told me was, hey, everybody's depressed. Everybody's carrying baggage. Everybody's got something that they're worried about. Throw Corona in the mix and everything's amplified, right? But you made the reason that one of the reasons that you were so impactful was that, you know, these are people who technically have their stuff together, right? Yeah. These are people who are supposed to be providing those safe spaces for kids, and they're scared. What does that tell you about collectively? It tells you that everybody has to address this stuff. That's right. Otherwise, you know, it's a powder keg ready to go off, right?
Oh man, and it happens all the time.
Exactly, and so people freak out. They act out, whatever. They you know, I know that one of your you know, that you target young men because of the disproportionate amount of men that are in prisons or in correctional facilities because they didn't know how to deal with their emotions, that they didn't know how to. So it's a powerful movement that you represent and that you carry, and I applaud you for it, and I think it's fantastic. And there's
I want to say one more thing, and it's more than just how many are disproportionately in prison, because 94% of people in prison are men. So that data right there is already. Like, I didn't know a whole lot of people in prison. I mean, my brother has been in trouble. I had my brother who has a mental disability has been in trouble, and he's been in jail. Like, I know people who have been in jail, but it was more because I saw people who were free who were in mental cages, who were walking around the streets emotionally almost adolescents, like no tools to navigate stress and sadness and fear. So everything turned into anger. Everything turned into rage. And guess what? I was one of those. And at 17 years old with a paper bag in my car that I got from a friend's house after my mom's husband put his hands on her, I was about to throw it all away. I was a 3.9 or 3.8 GPA student on my way to college, already accepted to college, and I was about to throw it all away. You know why? Because nobody ever let me talk about what I was feeling. I stuffed it. I was smart. I got good grades, but I was emotionally felt lonely.
I get it. That's a tough one, man. And you know what? Your efforts are amazing, and I totally applaud you. And people can find all this information out on everything that you've published via YouTube and your website, and we're going to share all that information. But here's where I want to segue into the health.
Yeah.
So you're a big man, and I'm a big man. We can relate to the obstacles that have been in our path and pursuits for health.
Yeah.
We can relate to past successes in weight loss through extreme behavior or programs, whatever. Talk about your health pursuits, because this is a podcast that is specifically centered around our pursuits for health, right? What is it about your health and everything that it comes with that? How does it relate to your efforts? Talk about your own pursuits as well.
Yeah, I've been a big kid all my life, and I'll do that again. So I've been a big kid my whole life, and I think my pursuits have been, I was always, he's husky, right? Oh, he's husky, and then you get huskier and huskier, and husky doesn't somehow the name you don't change the name, but now I'm no longer husky. I'm actually just fat, but I've been using the name husky for so long. I think I'm still husky, and I think I just wasn't. I grew an addiction that I didn't know I had. Let me tell you how it happened. I went to India, came back from India. My mom was like, "Hey, I'm in these classes for an addiction to flour and sugar." I'm like, "Addiction to flour and sugar? Who has an addiction to flour and sugar? That don't make any sense." She's like, "Oh, you got to come to one of these meetings. You got to learn about this stuff." Now, my mom, I got it from watching my mom operate and how she handled her relationship with food. And I picked up on some habits that were not healthy, but that's just where do you learn it from? You learn it from people who buy you food, right? And I realized I went to a couple of meetings. I'm like, oh my God. And so when I first started, like, that's not when I pursued only time I pursued my health, but that's when I was realizing, oh, this is a real thing. Like, you mean flour? Like, there's an addiction thing? Like, I haven't, and I really tried to stop eating sugar. I remember the first time I tried to stop, I lasted 24 hours maybe. And I was at one event, they had cookies on the table. I'm like, oh no, I'm good. And that smell like came into my body. And I was like, listen, for anybody who has an addiction to drug, I don't play around with addiction. I have family members who have had addictions. I was trying to turn off a signal in my brain that said, I'm ignoring the smell of those cookies. And I could not turn it off. I felt like I was going literally insane. I'm like, Ashanti, why are you tripping? Like, and then I started telling myself, well, having one cookie is not going to hurt nobody. I just decided that morning I'm not going to have any more flour and sugar. And literally that evening, I am like losing my mind with some cookies on the table. I can only tell you, if you have ever dealt with an addiction, that it is exhausting. And literally I gave in. I was like, I ain't hurt nobody. It's my own mouth and my own body. I ain't hurt nobody, And that's what I did in college. In college, I didn't smoke. I didn't smoke no drugs. I didn't drink no alcohol. But I ate. I had cafeteria, all I can eat. So I turned everything around. I said, I don't drink. I don't smoke. I just eat. And I was justifying the fact that I ate all the time because I didn't do drugs or alcohol, because I didn't think that food was an addiction. And so I'm kind of going back. I mean, it starts early. I think my addiction to food, or finding comfort in food, was during some childhood trauma that I couldn't talk about. And I needed some comfort. And you can find comfort in a pack of Oreos. Like, it was Ashanti's favorite cookie, his first, before I think the slogan was America's favorite cookie. Because and when I was younger, you only can get a couple. My mom only would give me maybe 4 or 3 or whatever. When you're an adult, you can go to Costco. I can buy as many Oreos as I want. $8.99 for 10 sleeves. Unhealthy. And I would eat them all with no remorse. Well, there's remorse when the box is empty because now I got to go back to the store, but no remorse in the fact that I just ingested like food in an unhealthy way until I realized it was killing me. And luckily, I didn't end up in the hospital before I realized it was killing me. Like, I started learning it on the way. And the spikes and up and down, I've done a juicing cleanse. I released 70, 80, 75 pounds. And then, that was 2014, I think, 2014, I think. And, this 2020, I've put all that weight back on. So I didn't really have a healthy relationship with food. I just, did, I basically starved myself for 90 days. I mean, I was drinking a bunch of liquid, so I was like, oh, I'm doing a good thing. And then I'll go back, and I didn't change my relationship with food. I just did something to change what I was doing in the moment. And so it's been a journey. It's been a really big journey. But I think recently, when you and I met in January, December, I think that's when I got the MyFitnessPal. I began tracking my food. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I got time to be putting no food in the stupid app. You know what I'm saying? I barely got time to make a meal. And then, but what happens is, for me, it was like I'm watching what I'm writing down. And I'm like, I just ate a whole bunch of junk today. And so I could be like, I don't have to write it because ain't nobody grade me and ain't nobody's business anyway. But then I started realizing if you're going to make a change, Ashanti, you got to make a change. And so, I literally since I don't know when I'd say at least 3 months right now. I'm 3 months, no flour, no sugar. I have a new relationship with food that is, I use food for fuel. And I think working with you, right, since that conversation has been very different because it's one thing when you talk to a skinny person who tries to tell you, you don't want the cookies. And I'm like, just shut up because you don't know what you're talking about because I'm clear what I do want and I can afford them. So first of all, when somebody who thinks that they know about you because they have no experience having food be a crutch, the food be a place you go for comfort, they have no idea. Then they can't really talk. They can tell you what the books say, but they can't tell you what it feels like to say, oh, we're at a birthday party, and I can tell just by the look at the cake if it's going to be a good cake. I don't even need to have it cut it yet. I can just look at it, and I'm like, oh, that's a good one. And don't talk about weddings. Don't talk about weddings. Like weddings, now, most wedding cakes are horrible because they got a bunch of fondant on the outside. There's a bunch of plastic. That's not good. But when I see a wedding cake that I can tell when they make that first cut and you see him or her shove that cake in the spouse, you like, that's moist. That's a moist cake. And I just want to stand by the cake tray the whole rest of the night. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, I've been at parties where I didn't want to leave yet because they hadn't cut the cake. I'm talking about that's unhealthy thinking, but it's my thinking. And I'm learning how to be, have a better relationship with what I'm putting in my body. And, since we met, I think I'm down over 30 pounds since we met. And I'm feeling much better. I can stretch more. I got a long way to go. Like I'm still over 300 pounds, and but I feel much better in my body, and I'm making the good decisions every day, and I'm tracking my food, and I'm making decisions that are gonna let me have the big dreams I have. Gonna let me enjoy them, because you can't enjoy the big dreams if you're in the hospital all the time. And I think that what I've learned to do now is to change how food is fueling me, as opposed to letting it just excite my tongue for the moment. And it's not easy. You know, I'm doing a keto diet right now. I'm hit a plateau. I'm in a plateau right now. I'm at the same weight for like the last, 3 weeks or so. I've been feeling really kind of some frustrated. And I know when I get frustrated, it's not good. So I got to like keep telling myself, we got to, so I'm starting to do some more exercises to like, to help burn. I'm on a journey, and I realize that it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a journey, and your inspiration, whenever you posted something like a week ago, and I shared with one of my friends that I was working with you. I said, it's great talking to somebody who gets it. You sometimes you're like, oh, don't worry if you have a break. Like, if you have a break to your plan, you're all right. And I was like, well, I'm not breaking it. I'm not breaking it, right? But I think that what I've been able to do is to just have that, like, other people like, don't ever break your plan. But to have somebody who gets it, that this is a lifestyle change. And you may say, I never eat sugar again in my life. I don't know if that's realistic for everyone. I know for me, luckily with the keto diet, there's some things I can eat. I can have stevia that makes some small little desserts or something that I can have that fits into my macros. And the fact that I use the word macros right now actually is quite ironic, because I didn't even know what a macro was till maybe a month ago. So the fact that I just let.
But you know what I was going to say is that's totally relatable to all your other efforts. Think about something for a moment, right? Just the concept of ever forward, right?
Yeah.
Don't ever stop moving forward. That concept, right? You're talking macros when you didn't used to in the past. You're talking about addiction with food, and you didn't used to in the past. It's a constant evolution that you're going through that is just a part of your identity and your pursuits. I'm proud that of you and your efforts. I think they're awesome. And I gotta say, as you continue these pursuits, I gotta say that or I guess tell me, how is the positive effects of your health pursuits impacting your efforts in your other endeavors with Ever Forward? I mean, how is that impacting you now?
Well, I've always been a recovering workaholic, right? So, working 16 hours a day is nothing to me. It's not healthy, I know, but it's just not. It's normal to me. And so what I've come to understand is that I have some responsibility to myself and to the goals I have. And so what it's done for me, like that 30 pounds that I've released, I have a lot more energy. I have to be careful with so much more energy that I don't start working more, right? Because I already work, I can work 16 hours a day without even thinking twice. And it's like, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like trying to get this last thing finished up. So I think, but what I need to start doing, I need to start giving more time to myself. So I'm buying back time, I'm buying back energy in my life, and I need to start using those for the goals I have. So this week, the first few days of this week, I've been working with an editor. I'm working on a book project, which I'm super excited about. I'm starting a podcast in 2 weeks. I'm super excited about. We launched the Million Mask movement last Friday. So I have now realized that, what can you do when you got more energy? What can you do when you got I've always had drive. I've never been a person who just sat around. I didn't get fat because I was sitting around. I was eating nonsense food in a hurry to get to the next meeting and to the next thing. Fast food, this. What can I get quickly? Where can I go to my favorite taqueria? And I just, it was not that, but it was not being conscious of what I was eating. I was just eating whatever I wanted to eat, whenever I wanted to eat it, late night, morning, whatever. And I was just getting more conscious. And I think when you do that, it frees up your brain to say, I'm not just throwing stuff in me just unconsciously. I'm eating. Like I made something the other night. I don't even know where the recipe came from. I made up the recipe. And I was like, that is amazing. And so I've always loved to cook. So it's not that the cooking part. It was just I'm making healthy food that fits in a plan that I am making time to cook. Like I would say that I probably cooked more in this last 4 months than I have probably, maybe the last 2 years, right? I just was eating out all the time.
Sure.
And I think that now I'm making decisions. And so I think it's helping me to make better decisions so that I can begin designing the life that I want to live, and I can achieve the goals that I really have for myself. And so that's been beautiful.
That's awesome. Let me ask you one last thing before I get to the last question here. So you're talking about, making all your meals and this and that. We have to talk about it because of the corona aspect, right? I know that you had already made this shift before corona hit, right? Where you were starting to be more mindful, right?
Yeah.
Has it helped you or hurt you, the corona period, where in terms of being more mindful of what you're eating because now you're maybe cooking more? How has it impacted you?
I mean, I think it situationally makes it easier, right? Because restaurants are closed. Like even if I wanted to go get a burrito or something, you got to like go there before 8 o'clock because everything closes early, and then you got to take it home. And I like to sit in there and eat and watch TV and have the chips and salsa and all the stuff that, but I think what I've really learned for myself is that I own the decisions. And so what it's done is like, oh yeah, if everything was open, I still could make a decision to come home and make my food. I still can make a decision that on the weekend I'm going to buy food, I'm going to prep it, I'm going to have food for the week. And so it just let me recognize that even though circumstances have caused it that I can't go out and do that anymore, it always has been my choice. It's always been my choice to like just take the easy way out. It's to go eat outside because it's faster and it's entertaining and it's fun. I can socialize. And so I think that, definitely it has changed a lot of things, but I think for me, I made the decision before to say, I'm going to pursue my health, and I have a choice to not, and so I think that those are so I think it's a great question. I think I ultimately know now that I'm in control, and I have to make the choice. I have to make those good choices, and I have to decide to make those good choices every day. So it takes work.
I'm proud to hear that you've navigated all this. I'm excited for you because it's very easy to make an excuse that you can. Oh, it's the difficult times. That's a fat person's pass, a golden ticket to go get the burrito with the salsa, with the guacamole, whatever it is. It's fine. And you know what? It's an interesting thing because our minds are very similar. People who are overweight or who have an unhealthy relationship with food, they can make an excuse for anything. I've made excuses for too many years to just make another one, and to hear you with a similar mindset, it's inspiring. It's great, and I thank you for coming on today to share your pursuits. I will ask you to please, at some point, I want to revisit. I want to talk to you when you're in that next phase of your pursuits. I want to talk to you when you're at goal weight, because these are all things, but even that reaction, think about it. You've thrown it out there, right? You're pursuing yourself. That's powerful in itself. And it's funny because you have all these second thoughts about that. You're like saying, oof, but think about it. You've thrown out so much more. Think about how impactful that is for you to be reserved about this when you haven't been reserved about, your efforts with Ever Forward. I mean, that's how psychologically crippling it can be to be overweight and to be hamstrung by food, right? So here's my last question for you, because you have to promise me that you're gonna come back when you're in the next phase of your journey, or
I will,
or at least check in, right? And then
I will.
And then of course at goal weight, maybe we'll meet up at Junai, maybe at post Corona.
That's what I'm talking about.
We'll sit at the bar. So here's the last question I have for you.
And I'm gonna walk outside so I can
Okay.
show you this view, because I wanted to show you this view of where I'm at right now.
Okay.
But I'm ready for the last question.
So, well, first of all, before I get to the last question, you're in Oakland. Are you a Raider fan?
No, actually.
You an Athletics fan?
You know, I'm an A's fan. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm an A's fan.
Bash Brothers fan?
That's an absolute. Canseco and Mark McGuire.
Yeah, baby. Now let me ask you this: Did you ever watch the Bash Brothers Jimmy or Adam Sandberg spoof?
No.
No, you've got to see it. If you're an A's fan, especially that era, you've got to see it. It's Adam Sandberg, and he does this real funny parody of Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire. It's like a whole 30-minute special. These made-up rap songs, beautiful. It's hilarious. You got to see it.
Okay.
So tell us where you're at right there. What is that? That's
so
the
this
Bay?
This is the Bay. So this is Alameda behind me. That way, that's all Alameda over there. So you see all the sailboats.
Nice.
They call one of these Coast Guard Island. I think it's a little tiny island. The Coast Guard is out here in the Bay. So you saw that boat passing by. So yeah, this is a new little development they've put up. This is one of the old, like, what was this? Something 8th Avenue Terminal. This building right here is the old port building, the Port of Oakland. They've actually tore the building. They tore it down. They chopped it in pieces. So the building goes all the way down there. And this building I was just in, and then like they made it into 2 other buildings down there. So this is a part of new development here on the water. So I thought I would come outside and answer the last question out here. I think the moon is out. The moon is out right now. I don't know who knows geography that good.
Yeah,
I don't really.
Yeah, I don't know where. Oh, there it is. There it is.
See it?
Oh no, that was a seagull. That was a seagull.
No, it's still there. Where is it at?
Okay.
Okay, it's behind me.
Oh yeah,
see the moon over there.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. All right.
So thank you for coming on. Here's my last question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're on death row. We don't know why. We don't know what you've done. It doesn't matter. Man. It doesn't matter what we don't care. But the question is this: what is your last meal and why? And it can defy time and space. Meaning it can be made by anybody, in any time of your life or whatever, or it doesn't matter. But any meal, anything what is your last meal? It could be, a laundry list of things. It could be one simple thing. It could be whatever. What would be your last meal and why?
This is a great question. So my brain goes to lots of places when I think of it. And it goes to my brain goes into a lot of places just based on if I ignore the context of where I am having this last meal, I would say I would have a meal by probably my grandmother. I think I have my grandmother. I would have my great grandmother's macaroni and cheese. My great grandmother's not alive anymore, but she made a macaroni mousse, you would call it. Basically macaroni and cheese on steroids. The best macaroni and cheese ever.
Describe it for me.
There's just like this the creaminess of the cheese in the al dente noodles are just like it didn't get ever too brown. It was always perfect. The brownness of the cheese on top.
Was it baked?
It was baked. Oh yeah. You start off on.
Was the cheese on top kind of like browned?
Oh yeah, it was. She got it crispy, a little crispy, without being burnt. Oh my goodness! And then my grandmother's candy yams. I don't know how she did it. She cooked candy yams on the stove that were the most tender, and it was just basically like eating sugar and cinnamon and butter with the yams around it. I'm like, I need some more of that syrup on there. Put some more of the syrup on there. You got. She's like, I can't give you all the syrup, baby. You gotta give these some for other people. I'm like, just put one more spoon, and it would just be like, that's what you sop up with the biscuits and oh my gosh, it would be some greens, some collard greens. It would be some the chicken. I'm trying to think who my family kids really just throw down some chicken. It will be like a soul food. And the dessert. 2 desserts. Two desserts. Oh, don't forget the macaroni. Don't forget the potato salad. Potato salad, absolutely incredible. It has to have egg in it. Has to be creamy. That's important. It has to have sweet pickled egg, sweet pickles, pickle relish. Not too many celery, not too many onions. It can't be crunching on all that again. Just nice, amazing potato salad.
And mayonnaise based or mustard based?
Oh, mayonnaise based. That's how we do it. That's how we do it in Arkansas, Little Rock.
Okay.
And then dessert. My grandmother she don't play. Peach cobbler. My grandmother could have a crust. The crust on the bottom was crispy. The crust on top was crispy, and it was just gooey in the middle. I'm like, I don't know how she ever did it. Like, it was just like, it wasn't gooey crust. It was like you were like, "I'll give me more crust." Like, you still like crust on other people's pieces because the crust was almost better than the peaches. I don't know how she did it. It was just soaked in deliciousness. So that was and potato salad. My mom got the potato pie. Sweet potato pie. My mom, that's my mom. I think I don't think anybody else can do. I'll do my mom on sweet potato pie. But we forgot the dressing. You gotta have dressing. You gotta have dressing, not stuffing.
Like
dressing.
cornbread
dressing. Cornbread dressing without a doubt. And you gotta use the juice from the turkey that was cooking off for the last 3 hours in the freaking. Man.
This is fat.
Man.
This is fat.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, that's great.
I don't know. I guess now we know where that flour and sugar addiction comes from.
Oh, we know where it comes from. I'm clear. I'm 100% clear. And, some people, when I go to these FA meetings, the Food Addicts Anonymous, you can't talk about food. Like, you can't, because you could trigger people. So I just feel my heart rate raising right now after saying all those words. So now I need to go figure out what I'm going to have for dinner. I need to go make some keto mud cake. A keto mud cake is what you. It can't compare, but it will have to do tonight because I feel like some cravings happening right now.
Was there anything left in that meal you didn't describe?
Oh my God! Nothing else fits on the plate. The plate is already full. You can't add more of that plate. That's just. But no, that's about it. That's all I need. I mean, that's all we have. We already full.
That sounds amazing. It sounds great. I can tell you're salivating. And I want to tell you, thank you very much for letting me interview on Fat Talk. I look forward to you reaching your goals.
We're gonna do it
with your Million Mask movement, with your health, with your weight loss, and everything that you're about. I'm a believer, and so thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Until next time, brother.
See you, Fat Talkers. Thank you so much.
Peace. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, all 82 of you. Hey,
that was 83. What happened?
83.
You lost one already?
Yeah, we already somebody unsubscribed. We're back from that interview with Ashanti Branch that I was fortunate enough to conduct yesterday. He took some time out of his busy schedule. With his efforts, he's got a lot of different projects, and he's an awesome guy. I hope you enjoyed that interview. And the theme for this week's podcast on Fat Talk is it never stops, right? And the idea is that life will continue to move forward. Nothing stops. You've got to be fluid. You've got to be amenable. Frank has talked earlier about changing with the regulations with his business as things move forward, as things evolve with the corona. He's talked about how his diet has evolved and that sort of thing, and so I'm doing things similarly, right? In that my profession has evolved from working directly with people to a distance learning in example model. And so recently both of us took a little trip and and so I know that at first glance somebody who might be judgmental, or even if even if you're thinking in your own mind, should I be doing this type of thing, comes to mind. But the idea for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, in your arena or your life, is sure, it's a risk. It's definitely a risk to go take a road trip in the middle of this pandemic, meet up with family, some of whom might be compromised immune wise, and converging to enjoy each other, to celebrate each other, to reconnect, to in my case, to fish and to enjoy, to have this, opportunity to break away from whatever it is that you were dealing with back home,
Right.
and using that as fuel to get to the next occasion where you can not think about the things you have to carry, the burdens you have to carry, the obstacles you face every day.
Right.
And that's what that trip served for me and my family. Where we're at now is we've come back after engaging with all these people from our family and or truck stops, whatever, right? And the idea is
Say, what are you doing at the truck stops?
getting gas, baby, getting gas.
No glory holes there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, glory holes, dude. Exactly. And
You're working your way back?
exactly. I just needed some gas. I need some gas, Gary. Anyway, so the idea is that now serves a purpose.
Right.
That is in my mind and in my heart and in my spirit, so that I can make it with whatever it is I'm dealing with until the next tense
Right.
that you have. What was your recent getaway, and did it also serve the same purpose for you?
Dude, 100%. My father-in-law and my mother-in-law, ever since this started, like that's like the small group of, my small circle with my family, and then my in-laws are like kind of the only people we've been really hanging around with. I've seen my dad a handful of times, my mom a handful of times. But we spend a good amount of time together because they're totally isolated, So for Father's Day, we got a room in Rockport to go fishing, a little 2-bedroom condo for a couple nights. Mary had gotten me a new kayak for Father's Day, so I wanted to go. It's a motorized one. It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
So
is it a one person or two person?
It's technically a one person, but me and Malachi got on it.
Okay.
I'll send you some pics. I didn't get my motor in yet when we took it, so we're just paddling. But I got my motor in on Tuesday. No, Monday. I got my motor on Monday, so I still have to get it registered, all that shit. So talk about taxation. I bought something, paid tax on it, and now I got to pay another tax to use it. Fucking retarded. Anyway, brother, I know you grew up. Your dad was a big-time lover of fishing.
Yeah.
My dad was a big-time lover of fishing, too. And I learned so many things. My dad would take me fishing all the time when I was young.
Yeah.
And, man, that you want to talk about how to teach a man to be a man. You do that in fishing, in my opinion. Only because it's learning how to be patient. It's learning how to deal with, getting your rods, your lure stuck, or your gear stuck in you got to cut your line, and you lose your favorite lure, whatever. It's that old adage of you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And I feel, dude, I love fishing. Like, to me, fishing is like soul reviving. Whenever I feel like shit, all I can think about is fishing. Like, I can't wait till I can fish full time. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't wait, man. And so for me, that's like recharge, man. I got up I don't get up at 4 o'clock for anything except fucking fishing. That's the only thing I get up for at 4 o'clock in the morning when I get my bait. Everybody was still asleep. We were fortunate the condo we stayed at was a private 150-foot or a 50-yard pier. I stood out there from 4 a.m. till about 9:30, 10. I caught about 15, 20 fish. Man, I had a fucking blast. And then the kids came out later, and we fished. We fished again at night, at sunset, in Copano Bay. Waiting. Man, like, to me, there's nothing better. And I don't even keep. I release every single thing I catch. I don't like cleaning fish,
Yeah.
and I don't like killing them for no reason. For me, it's just about the man versus animal, and that I don't know what it is, that archaic, like
Primitive. The
very,
primitive.
very primitive. Like, you're trying to, like, I feel like I know that I could survive if I had to.
To
You know what
catch
I mean? Like,
the
in the wild.
fish, to catch the fish, you must think like the fish.
So it was a good little recharge. My wife got to, like, just relax and recharge, and Malachi, did absolutely nothing. So it's just a good little, even though we're kind of doing that at home most of the day anyway,
It's removing yourself from the typical.
Right.
It's removing yourself from the mundane. It's removing yourself from whatever it is that you've been the grind, right?
And you need that thing. I know you said it's dangerous, and maybe, but to me, what's more dangerous is putting an animal in a cage for too long. And I believe
Sure.
we're animals, man, and we need to be able to express ourselves and recharge ourselves, man. And, like, you can recharge yourself a lot of different ways, but for me, that's one of the ultimate recharges for me. A weekend of fishing nonstop is, like, the greatest thing for me. It helps me recharge, refocus, So it was awesome, man. We caught some good, again, nothing. We didn't keep anything, but we caught some fun stuff. I caught a pretty big cat that broke my rod, which was pretty fun to catch something that's big enough to break your rod,
Yeah.
But, man, I had a great time, man. We're going to try and go again on the 11th, but I think we're going to have to cancel because of beaches being closed and all that shit. So
Yeah, and you know what? That, I guess, what I meant by when I said that earlier, I only mean it in the sense that we're out of the ordinary right now.
right.
Everything.
No, I
There's
know
a
what you're
risk
saying.
to
I know
everything,
you didn't mean
right?
like dangerous.
And so I want to say that I feel the same way as you do in terms of the time spent fishing. It's certainly something that I grew up doing with my dad and my brother. And you mentioning your dad and fishing with your dad, yeah, totally. That's a part of my experience. It was awesome. And um, being able to put my sons on some fish where we were at, because
That's awesome.
they're still young.
Right.
They're not going to spend all day out there.
Right.
My oldest son, he's 7. He'll spend some time, but he won't spend. I was out there all day, and it was funny because I didn't realize where we were going when we went. I didn't realize the access that we would have. And
Yeah,
if
that's crazy. That's awesome. The backyard. I was like,
and if I would have known that, I probably would have prepared to, like, fly fish traditional. I probably would have practiced. I would have went out and bought.
right.
But this is what I thought. I said, you know what? It's like you're saying, it's more of the opportunity to do it, right? And so when I went there, I took a couple poles, a couple Zepcos, one like a little kid one, whatever. Because I like the sport also in it. I like feeling the rod going all crazy, whatever. Right? When you see that, it's everything.
Right.
And so I bought some flies from Walmart for $6 because that area is all about flies. And where we were at, it was beautiful because there was low laying area all around us for river, right? But right behind the house, right, you walk straight out, was a little area that it pooled up, where people were walking from other areas to fish. But if we were out there, they wouldn't fish it.
Right.
Because it was a perfect spot. And so, it wasn't as if we were catching the whole time, because there were hours where I would just be, fishing
Right.
and nothing, but it was so beautiful and so crisp and so out of the ordinary that it was like a dream.
Yeah.
It was just, it was an opportunity to forget about your bills, to forget
Right.
about whatever it is that you carry with you on the daily, right? And enjoy yourself. And so it was awesome. And then to do it, to catch some fish on the flies was real cool. You know, that was awesome. But then to hand the rod over so that my sons could reel them in, that was awesome. And so, in addition to that, I ate my ass off. I drank more than I should have. But when I went, I said, when am I going to have this opportunity? Here's
Right.
here's a little pocket of time. And you know, I'm thankful that I had that opportunity, because I know that whatever it is that we face in the next, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever, at least we have that memory. At least we have that, there's nothing, there's no saying, no telling where things go, right?
Right.
We have no control over that shit.
Nope.
And so we had that opportunity um, remove ourselves, to recharge. And now you're facing your obstacles, and I'm facing my obstacles with a renewed energy, with some optimism, right? And basically accepting the fact that it never stops.
Right.
And so you need those opportunities to remove yourself, right? And so, maybe in the past there was different food that was eaten, right? In terms of, but instead now it's cauliflower pizza. Instead now it's, being more mindful about the bread you're eating, despite the fact that you're eating more bread than you normally, whatever. And so this is what I said. I said, because before I went on this trip, I had also cut my foot and I couldn't run for a few days. So there was some extra time tacked onto that. And I said, you know what? I know that my trajectory in terms of my health pursuits will remain the same, but having this opportunity that won't always be there. So don't beat yourself up over whatever it is, whatever weight you may gain or whatever, right? And so I've said I'm not going to weigh myself for a month. So I'll weigh myself August 1. That'll give me 4 weeks, the month of July, to right the ship, to deal with, returning to work, to deal with, whatever it is that comes up as a result of whatever, traveling, whatever, whatever it is that we have to deal with. And I feel like that's within reason.
Yeah.
Not beating yourself up over your Coke Zeros or your cauliflower pizza or this, that, or the other. I mean, I think that all of that plays a role, and the fact that it never stops. That concept. I remember my dad saying something at some point in his life where something had happened, and like he was like, God dang, he's like, man, just one thing. You settle one thing and the next thing fucking pops up.
Right.
That's life, right? Embracing the fact that there will be constant. It never stops, So take it all in stride, right? And so that's what I believe that we're doing, and I believe that that a lot of what Ashanti was talking about, ever forward, I think that totally applies to what we've been doing in our personal and professional lives. And I'm glad to hear that you've been able to navigate and everything personally and with your business or whatever. It's good to hear that. I'm sad that we can have to continue to do Zoom meetings for our podcast because of convenience and whatnot.
Right.
But I am looking forward to. I believe we have better days in front of us, and
Absolutely.
and that optimism is necessary if we're going to continue to make better choices. Because I'm not ready to throw in the towel, and neither are you, and neither are a lot of other people who want to go through this obstacle, because there's opportunity on the other side. And I think if we can weather the storm, continue to do that, and when we get lost in the frustrations of our day-to-day grind or whatever, right? We have those memories of these trips and these moments, that allow us to um, take a little detour,
Right.
a pit stop, but not, but don't unpack at that place. So I'm happy for you, and I'm happy to hear that. I'm going to answer your question about the treats. I bought treats from you before I went on the trip.
Yep.
So we have a little fridge in our backyard, whatever, with some frosty beverages, right? I put them in there just because I didn't want them to eat them, right?
Okay.
We're in Carlsbad, New Mexico, when I remember I forgot the damn treat. So,
You left them behind.
dude, what an idiot! And the reason I remember then was because I said, when we get there, I'm going to give them these treats as a little surprise after we've gotten set up for the long drive, whatever it is.
Yeah.
As a little something, right? Hey, here's a little bit something from Chocolazzo, because they love your Nutter Butter brownies, and my wife loves the truffles. Man, I was so upset with myself because
Hey, they don't go bad. If they're in the fridge, you can eat them later.
Yeah, well, when we got back, we ate them. So
So they didn't go to waste.
they didn't go to waste, my
Right,
friend.
right.
They didn't go to waste.
Awesome.
Is there anything you want to add about what we're talking about this week?
Man, support if you can, support any businesses you can. Bars are hurting right now. Support your bar friends. If you have any friends, stay diligent, keep fighting, and let's look forward to a better future.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a constant evolution. Time waits for no one, as they say. So we have.
My truck broke down today, so that's awesome too.
Man, that's a great case in point. Case in point. Jeez, dude. Yeah, I know. I get rid of rats, and then I've got fleas. I got, come on, dude. It's just,
Stuff, bro.
I cut my finger today. Whatever. It's just whatever it is, whatever it happens to be.
What? It's like pain lets me know I'm alive.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Or that you're not dreaming.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think today was a pretty big reveal. You revealed something pretty revealing today.
Did I?
You did.
What did I say?
About your wife.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it hasn't been a secret, but we really haven't been telling people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a daddy again at 40.
All right, baby.
What the fuck was I thinking?
Hey, man, I'll take you away.
You know what, man? I'm so excited, man. Like, you want to talk about putting another little pep in your step?
Hell yeah.
Is having another mouth to feed. You know what I mean? So, I'm just one day at a time. That's all we can do. Take it one day at a time.
It's gonna make you better. It's gonna make.
Dude, I'm fucking hungry. We're right in March. We signed a lease to open a new location with a new concept. It's under construction. We're probably gonna be done in the next, couple of weeks with the build out. We're probably not gonna open yet. We're just gonna kind of wait till we can have like a real proper opening, which might be another month or more. But
yeah,
dude, we got a really awesome concept. This is gonna be our biggest project yet, as far as we put the most money into it. It's gonna look great. It's gonna be a great product. We're like gonna be franchise ready. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be awesome. And I'm fucking motivated, baby. I'm fucking excited.
That's awesome.
I'm
That's
excited.
great to hear, dude. That's awesome. maybe maybe if you want to get if you need any taste testers.
We're gonna have a friends and family tasting party as soon as possible.
All right,
As
cool.
soon as it's safe to get together,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a special invite only.
Nice.
And guess what? You're on the list, buddy.
All right. I was going to say, please at least describe what it was like for everyone, for me. I'm joking. We will let you know how it went.
I'm gonna make some organic. I'm gonna make some non-dairy stuff. It's gonna be a little bit of something for everybody.
That's just a little teaser. It's just a little teaser.
Little teaser. It's gonna be sweet shit. You know what? I'll put my foot down right now and say, we are the king and queen of sweets in San Antonio. I will fucking say that with confidence.
Nice.
But this is gonna be the next level for us.
That's awesome, dude. And I must also say, your facial hair is on point. I've never seen you with that type of look.
It's been a while. I haven't grown it out probably in a good 6, 7, 8 years, but you know, it's still, I don't like it a lot.
It's good.
Thank you.
It's good. I like it. It's
about halfway, almost there.
Haven't quite placed it yet. What it reminds me of, whatever. But and I will also, I believe you're right. You guys are the king and queen of sweets in San Antonio. That's cool.
We're trying, baby.
And I'll tell you what, man. We're gonna move forward regardless, because time waits for no one, baby. So I'm happy for your endeavors, and I think it's awesome, and I will support you as much as I can in whatever way I can, buddy. And so on that note, you hear the music. That's it for our show this week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Special podcast this week. Want to thank Ashanti Branch for spending some time talking about his movement, and I want to thank my co-host Frank Collazo for making time to come on and chew the fat here on Fat Talk.
That sounds delicious.
Oh, it's delicious. I always chew the fat. So that's our show for this week. We'll see y'all next week or whenever it is we get together again. So you hear the music.
Fat rock.